collateral damage. I watched as prominent government officials and economists opined that the residential real estate calamity was contained and would not spill over into the general economy. I shook my head in wonder. Everything I saw around me was deeply impacted by the housing market. The housing starts in our market have fallen 80 to 85%. It's not a recession for us, this is a depression. Unlike housing, we did not witness the formation of a bubble in the commercial real estate markets. The first office lease I did in 1990 was at a rate of $13.50 a square foot. 18 years later, at the peak of the market, we were doing office leases in superior buildings for $18.50 a square foot. That's a compounded annual increase of just 1.77%. Those are not the kind of numbers that suggest a bubble in the commercial real estate market, at least in our markets. As another example, I sold an office building in 2002 for $2.7 million. The replacement costs on that building, even in today's depressed construction markets, would be $2.2 million. That same building went into foreclosure last month and failed to sell at a credit auction, foreclosure auction, for $1 million, the minimum creditor's bid. That's indicative of what can happen in our commercial real estate markets when it becomes an all-cash market where credit isn't available. The values can fall to below replacement cost by 30 to 50%. Those are not fundamental business issues. Securitization, in my view, is the most critical component of the secondary or term loan market. It provides for the democratization of credit. Properly structured, securitization should reduce risk and thus provide credit at the most reasonable cost possible. While the TALF program has been effective for reconstituting the ABS market for credit card, auto, and other consumer loans, in my view, it is ill-suited and ill-structured to resurrect the secondary credit markets for commercial real estate. The TALF requirements are so complex that it is realistically available only to the most sophisticated and elite borrowers. A reconstituted commercial mortgage-backed security market must have at least 4 characteristics that were not required under the now-defunct system. 1, bond issuers, those that are responsible for underwriting and issuing the debt, must retain a significant level of risk to ensure proper underwriting procedures. 2, rating agencies must be accountable for the ratings they issue, and they should be compensated by the purchaser, not the issuer of the securities. 3, servicers must be authorized and given the tools to effectively deal with troubled assets within the security pool. And 4, initially, federal guarantees will be required to stimulate the formation of a functional CMBS market. Those guarantees can be phased out over time as the private sector gains confidence in the system that was destroyed recently, and replaces the need for federal participation. I'd like you to consider this. Without the existence of Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and the FHA, we wouldn't have a housing market today, and we would be in a full-blown depression. The only equivalent we have today for these conduits in the commercial real estate market is TALF, which I submit is the equivalent of the Fed creating not just a jumbo, but a super jumbo market for commercial real estate. If we did that in the residential market, we would be leaving the entry-level to medium-priced home buyers dangling with no viable options. TALF, as it is currently structured, will not solve the problem. Too much time has passed without adequate action to resolve this problem. The President, Congress, and regulatory agencies should move expeditiously to pass the necessary legislation and/or regulation needed to reconstitute the commercial mortgage-backed securities markets. Failure to do so will result in further unnecessary devaluation of commercial real estate assets and the associated damage to our economy. I thank the committee for its time, and I welcome any questions you might have.